Hi, how's it going? This is Resin of Collinwood for YouTube. Back to continue my read along for the Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound. This is part 4. I'm still on chapter 1. Episode 458. Naomi faces the ultimate choice when she discovers her son is one of the living dead. Naomi Joan Bennett. After seeing Millicent with Barnabas, an increasingly agitated Naomi discovers that Joshua may have found a relief to the curse in Boston. She nonetheless responds with pessimism after writing a note. She visits Vicky, who remains concerned about Peter's freedom. Vicky feels as if her visit with Naomi is the last she'll see she shall have, or sorry, the last she shall have. At which point Nathan arrives to take her at gunpoint. Unmoved by her admission that she, not Peter, killed Noah, Naomi drinks a draught of poison and then visits Barnabas, who confesses all. Despite his pleas to the contrary, she persists in her love for him. Joshua enters and cradles her as her body grows cold. And then it got really dark. Naomi is one of Dark Shadow's stronger, more willful characters, ever every bit the equal to Joshua, which is saying something. She is admirable, strong, honest, and loyal. These are all qualities that make her suicide either a show of defiant self-determination or a betrayal of her essence. Forgive the politics and apologies to those love whose loved ones have made that terminal choice. I rank among you. I see it as the formal romantic literature might not, or might. These are Barnabas's last moments before being sealed into semi-suspended animation. So this event, an example, this disposition toward death heavily influences the man we see rise in 1967. Death is both an option and simply one more choice when he murders. Perhaps he is consigning others to what he sees as an inevitable that exists without shame. These are very existential questions, and when you look at them in little bits without considering the big picture, there are easy they are easy to ignore. Just as heroes in real life don't go about spouting their ontologies like characters out of Chesapeake or Rand, nor do those on this show. Still, we can, and as responsible fans of the show, should discern what we can about the philosophies of the characters. From their actions with Barnabas, that's a sticky wicket. Not only does he evolve, appearing in more episodes than anyone, but his perspective changes depending on whether or not he's under the influence of what I refer to as beast the beast. Critics of Barnabas are quite right. He can be the master of the double standard, easily rationalizing like a machine in the balance his life abilities, options, threats, and nature of existence change violently and frequently. The choices he has to make and the range of shifting tools and consequences tied to those choices are rarely the same. The consequences demand categorical thinking. Seeing that his own mother held death as a choice gallivanted Barnabas's thinking, galvanized Barnabas's thinking. I believe if it were not a shameful destination for her, it is not a shameful destination for anyone. Of course, she chose it, and Barnabas's victim do not. But if it becomes a questionable destination, then his actions to consign others there become equally questionable. Thus, Barnabas must maintain a casual attitude toward the undiscovered country. Kids, don't try this at home. This episode hit the airwaves March 27th, 1968. This is one of the first pieces where the series came into actual shape focus for me. While writing the column, in the immortal words of Floyd Gundley, I am a simple man of simple pleasures. I am far too easily distracted by the bright colors and raucous sounds of 1897 to properly remember and appreciate 1795. The upside of this is that the sequence always strikes me as remarkable, fresh, and profound when I cycle back to it again. Episode 459. In the wake of his mother's suicide, Barnabas Collins vows to take revenge if his father doesn't shoot him with a silver bullet first. Joshua Lewis Edmonds. Hearing that his mother is dead because of revelations by Nathan Forbes, Barnabas goes about the business of revenge. Meanwhile, Forbes responds with a crossbow in 1795. The cherished friends and beloved relatives around Barnabas Collins had been dead for years. Barnabas was too, until, and you see this coming, he died. This would all be electrocuting a dead horse, except that this arc mentions the concepts of death and life constantly. When Jonathan Frid delivers the line telling Forbes that bullets will have no effect because he's already dead, he's savoring the words with unusual deliberate relish. In fact, he is at his most Shakespearean in this episode, not because of an accent, not because he stands around posing in tights, using archaic language. No, for legitimate reasons. Listen to his treatment of the sincerely grand statements. Words are stretched into multi-symbolic wrappings over decisions and discoveries of cosmic import. He's not only getting the most out of their intentional weight, he has found the dreadful music of death and revenge, and the language that describes them. We take death for granted on Dark Shadows. In 1795, it's not just a consequence, it is the subject of philosophical heft without weighing the audience down with aesthetic and academic self-consequences about it. Death is both a metaphor and a very real state of being. For once, it has, by implored implication, been given proper attention and by implication, so has a meaningful life. We stand on the battlefield of fallen characters who have no voice, well, except for one. By finally standing outside of life, there are no more appearances to keep up. Indeed, all the rules of the living are at what cost Barnabas his life. Was he in love with Josette? Perhaps social class taboos and a marriage prospect with a business prospect chaser kept him from confessing his true feelings, excuse me, even to himself. I don't call that living. The fact that Barnabas walks and speaks and feels is all of the proof we need that on this program death simply releases a cursed figure to explore living. Joshua, on the other hand, is a prisoner of his expectations. His need to appear in control is so pervasive and toxic that it takes being in the throes of death for his wife to say she still loves him. Of course, the real journey of the storyline belongs to Joshua, reluctantly exploring and admitting the moments of humanity, forbidding to him otherwise. It's unclear how Joshua became so incredibly stoic, but I will guess that life at sea, having to coexist among pirates and slavers, changes a man. His charting of an underdeveloped sense of humanity exists less on the page, and so Lewis Edmonds must be lavishly praised for his efforts to do so. In theory, it's a broad part, shouting, taking umbrage, being at a loss for words on a nearly hourly basis. You know, those things are easy. They are a pukish Southerner's spoof of New England finery. Underneath that is a keenly focused, gently urged character evolution. Frankly, if the actions of Angelique could not bring that about, the character would lack humanity completely. More than anywhere else, we see the effects of the curse, exactly what she said. Those he loved would die. But why make him a vampire at the same time? Of course, so that he can be the cause. The trouble somersault of irony is that outside of the domain of the living, subsiding by the ethics and standards of the dead, Barnabas would eventually live to a point where he realized he loved Angelique. And that's the one part of the curse that in 1840 she forgot to lift. This isn't a soap opera, it's Shakespeare writing a Greek tragedy commissioned by Rod Serling. On a technical level, it's not a soap opera either. An episode like this is the payoff that we somehow knew was possible while making our way through often hundreds of episodes of semi repeated exposition with a sidecar of looming implication. Every time Dark Shadows has an episode like that, it carries with it an implicit promise for something more. This episode is as tight and propulsive as anything written from prime time, for prime time. Fred Edmonds, Joel Carruthers, Thayer David glide through the action with equal parts of passion and confidence. There has never been better chemistry on the program than with Jonathan Frid and Lewis Edmonds as Barnabas and Joshua, opening with the immediate fallout from Naomi's suicide. With the ticking clocks of Victoria's fate and the oncoming sunrise, it manages to go about solving its problems and inventing new ones with purposeful urgency that never devel- devolves into sloppiness or panic. It's too busy addressing the problems of the living with the insight of the dead. This episode hit the airways March 28th, 1968. Okay, so I'm finally on part two, guys. So I'm gonna stop there. I'm sorry that it took this long to finish chapter one, which part two is called Initiation. So I'll start that tomorrow. Hope you guys are enjoying this. I know I am. I'm enjoying it very, very much. It's very well written by Patrick. If you guys have not picked this up so far, please do so. It is very, very good. Just speaking as a Dark Shadows fan, it's very, very deep. And it's funny too. So I'm already enjoying the second Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound. So I'm gonna start part two or start chapter two tomorrow, and so I'll see you guys tomorrow on that one, and I'm gonna do another read along, which that one the next one's for Tonight Miguel. So I'll see you guys later tonight, but I'll see you guys tomorrow for the Dark Shadows Daybook Unbound. Bye bye.